This is what it's all been building towards. PlayStation 4 National Premier League seasons around the country, building to the 2017 Grand Final between Brisbane Strikers and Heidelberg United. Welcome to a sun-drenched Perry Park for the PlayStation 4 National Premier League's 2017 Grand Final. I'm Simon Smile. I'll be talking you through all the action, and alongside me, as always, former A-League and NSL star, and most importantly tonight, former Brisbane striker, Jonty Richter. Jonty, good evening. It's fantastic to have you with me, as always. We're going to see a new PlayStation 4 National Premier League champion tonight. Who's your money on?
Evenings. Yeah, well, it's good to see not a New South Wales or Sydney-based team winning this series for once. So sharing it around the country is good. Obviously, being a Queenslander and a Brizzy boy and ex-Strikers man, I'd love to see the Strikers get up. But I think they got their work cut out for them tonight against Heidelberg United, who've done obviously as well. Have had a great season.
It's been a glorious day in Brisbane. Just for 32 degrees it got up to. That's about 15 degrees warmer than it was in Melbourne today. Does that temperature difference, is that going to make a bit of a difference? Is that going to level the playing field, do you think?
Yeah, well, obviously, the Queenslanders will be used to that kind of heat. I'm sure the Melbourne guys are used to different variations in the weather, but it's cooling down nicely now, so I think it's a good temperature for football anyway. But yeah, I think the only thing that might have suffered is the pitch being quite dry up here. So as the groundsman's had the sprinklers on it, so hopefully that'll help it out anyway.
I spoke to John, the groundsman, during the week, and he said he's been running up the water bill here at Perry Park, so it looks nice and green for everybody. We have the sprinklers on just before. You mentioned Heidelberg have had a fantastic season. They've been virtually all conquering. Um, that's really been based and led from the front by King Kenny Athiu. Um, we did see perhaps anonymous sign in the Westfield FFA Cup between a Victorian team and a Queensland team. Obviously, Gold Coast City going down 6-0 to South Melbourne. Those teams both finished second in the league. So is that a good gauge based on what we could see here today?
Yeah, it's always a tough one, you know. I mean, FFA Cup games are different in the sense that they're a knockout game, but in saying that, this is a one-off as well. You know what I mean? Where, yeah, Heidelberg having a great season, like we said. A few Queenslanders in their side as well, as with old Ruben Way and Alex Schiavaro as well. So good to see some representation there. But yeah, as we said, all round quite a strong side and quite well drilled. And yeah, the big man up front can score some spectacular goals.
How important does that make Greg Hensley tonight, as well as Jake Marshall? They've got a real tough ask, haven't they?
Yeah, certainly Hensley. I think he'll enjoy that challenge. I'm pretty sure he doesn't enjoy it when it's a nice, tame, timid little fella up there. So, yeah, some big timber, as I said. Hensley, a tree lobber by day, and I'm sure he's going to have to battle some tall timber up there tonight. So, it should be a good battle.
We'll run you quickly through the teams as we're going. We'll start with the visitors. A couple of surprises, in particular Harry Noon. Now, Harry injured himself last night, rolled an ankle pretty badly at training over at Spencer Park. You know, the night before a grand final. Jonty, you've had a number of injuries yourself over the years. How devastated is he going to be, and how disappointed are his teammates going to be for him?
Yeah, I'm sure it sort of would have rocked them a little bit. I actually saw him out the back while I was walking in. He's in the moonbeat on crutches, so yeah, it's certainly he's done a good job of it, which yeah, a big loss for them, but I'm sure they'll be able to cover for him. And you know, as we said, grand final. There's no better motivation than that. So yeah, I'm sure they'd in some ways want to win it for him as well. You know.
Does give a chance for young Alex Schiavo, Brisbane boy as well, played with Lions and the QAS as well as Capalaba. So, and for a short time here at Strikers, young Schiavo. So, good opportunity for the 21-year-old.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got some great skills on him, and obviously um, the reason why they signed him, you know, he's got great ability, so I'm sure he'd want to put on a good show tonight in front of the friends and family. They'll all be here cheering him on, and yeah, hopefully he has a good showing. And in all, I mean, really, let's hope that they all play well, the refs have a good game, and it's quite entertaining for us.
We'll give you the home side now, Brisbane Strikers, as the teams make their way onto the field. Strikers, not really too many surprises. Of course, captain Michael Angus is going to be key, as we've already spoken about Greg Hensley. Hiroki Omori has been another stunning player, has had another fantastic season. His imaginative, his ingenuity on the left, he's going to be a real handful, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's probably one of the strikers' strengths is their wing backs in Hiroki Omori and on the other side there, Sammy Knight. But I suppose the biggest thing for the strikers, their top scorer for the year on 15 goals in Jeremy Stewart. That might count against them where, you know, Big Kenny, I think he's got about 32 goals for the season, so quite a difference there where I'm sure it'll be tight anyway, but you get the feeling that Heidelberg probably got a bit more of a strike force behind them.
Adrian Arndt is the man in the middle. He's going to be assisted by Joey Lee, James Sherry, Lara Lee is the fourth official. It's a big day, of course, for the referees as well. Leading into a grand final, we often talk about the nerves that the players will be feeling on the national stage, but referees are human too.
Yeah, funnily enough, they are human. We don't seem to think, but yeah, I'm sure they're quite excited for this one. A couple of local guys running the lines, and I'm sure a big game for them too. So let's hope that that goes without incident. There's nothing too much for them to worry about, and the game just flows.
Years ago, Brisbane Strikers won the NSL Grand Final in front of 40,446 people at Lang Park. Not quite that number in here at Perry Park tonight, but nevertheless, a good occasion for the club. And Heidelberg United, well, it's been a little bit longer since they were last in a national final, 1980, 4-0 win over Sydney City in the old NSL Cup. So it's been a long time between drinks for both these sides. I have to admit, hand on heart, I think Heidelberg have probably got the upper hand. This is a rarity for strikers going into a finals match, perhaps being the underdogs.
Yeah,
what do you reckon?
I mean, yeah, in all honesty, you think Heidelberg should win this one, but as you know, one-off games, you know, you just got to put it together on the day, which, again, with strikers and their history of grand final defeats, it's something that they have to overcome, which you really hope that they do today. But I suppose the biggest thing riding on all this for both clubs is that automatic entry into the FFA Cup next year. So quite a lot at stake, not just that title of being the national champion, NPL champions, but it's a great way for clubs to get that automatic entry into the FFA Cup and not have to worry about those qualifying rounds. So yeah, let's hope both teams go hard at it today, hard and fair, and let's see some entertaining football.
Heidelberg have had a grand adventure in the FFA Cup themselves this season. 1-0 win over Hyundai A-League opposition in Perth Glory. Fortunately falling at the quarter-final stage to Adelaide. But we are just about ready to get things going here. It'll be Adrian Zara, who also has A-League experience with Melbourne Heart and Perth Glory. 37 appearances in the nation's top flight for Zahara as he gets us underway in this PlayStation 4 National Premier League's 2017 Grand Final. Immediately being pegged back there, our strikers. Sam Knight will take the throw, and immediately Kenneth Iu into the action. He's a giant man, even takes quite a specimen to dwarf Greg Hensley, and he's on the ball now with Hensley. It'll be a fascinating tussle throughout the game. Big call, but it goes strikers' way. A fairly strong contingent of Heidelberg fans down to our left and in the main grandstand as well. There's plenty milling around over the last couple of days here in Brisbane. So a bit of head tennis over on that far side in front of the Bill Waddell stand. Hensley and Athea come together, and Hensley wins round 1.
Yeah, it certainly looks like there'll be a good battle up there between those two.
Worth the admission alone as the ball's aimed towards young Alex Schiavo. He's kicked away there by King Kenny, as he's known down in Victoria. Will we see a coronation on the national stage today? Amori finds himself in a bit of space. Keeps his feet well. Finds Palmer. Palmer did well to support. And it's on this left-hand side that strikers are really going to pose problems for this Heidelberg defence.
Heidelberg's certainly going to have to watch Amori, as we said, like, again, straight away there, he's looking to attack, and something that he does really well for the strikers.
Amori just couldn't quite get that ball out from under his feet, and Heidelberg will clear long towards Atheu. Hensley and Marshall linking up well. Playing with fire a little bit at the back, but that's the way strikers have played all year in the PS4 NPL Queensland. Stewart is dispossessed by Jordan Wilkes. Amori. Nice pass to McLean. McLean still going. Unable to get a cross away. He's appealing vehemently for a corner, but goal kick is given. And Chris Theodoridis is having a little bit of a word with his defence.
I think they just, strikers getting in a little bit too easy there. Nice little intricate play there, but it's certainly something they got to watch. Heidelberg United there.
McLean is tricky, just as tricky as Amori. Both have 7 goals this season. That was a long ball pump forward, but easily dealt with. Unfortunately, Ethan Doherty can't find Michael Lee, who of course won a grand final here at state level last season with Redlands United.
Yeah, he had a good game last week against Edgeworth Eagles as well, so I'm sure he's looking to continue that form.
He's been an important player for strikers this season, as they won their 2nd straight PlayStation 4 National Premier League's Queensland title.
And we talked about Heidelberg missing one of their star players there through injury, unfortunately this week. But you know, strikers have done quite well this season as well, losing one of their main strikers before the start of the season, nearly, with old Meredith doing his ACL. As have another flyover here for Brisbane's River Fire, the jets and the helicopters. It's all happening. You think they're putting on the show for the NPL, but yeah, great night in Brisbane.
Crossfield ball by Doherty. Trying to find Knight, and Knight is quick, but he's not quite that quick and is unable to keep the ball in over on that far side. Ruben Way, who, another Brisbane boy you mentioned at the start, he had spells with Redlands United and Olympic before spending the last 3 years at Heidelberg. He was a goal-scoring machine up here in the NPL Queensland. Averaged 21 goals a season in the 2 years he was up here.
Yeah. As a winger as well, so it just shows what he's got in his locker. But great ball there down the line for Heidelberg.
Ellis gets to the byline. He has Atheu on the inside. It was a side-footed shot by Lewis Hall, and it wasn't very far away. And that's danger signs already for the hosts.
Yeah, that was a great little ball down the line there. Nice little cutback, and not a bad effort to keep that ball low. But again, just simple. You know, it sounds so simple anyway. Just got to get it on target. That's the difference.
Really sprung the trap, didn't he, Sean Ellis, the 27-year-old Scot, former Ross County junior.
And that's a Very
audacious effort.
Very ambitious
From Jeremy Stewart.
But yeah, that's it's no secret the strikers like to attack with their fullbacks, but that's probably one area that they can be exposed in fairly quickly too. If they get caught, if Hero or Sammy Knight gets caught too high up the pitch, that there is a way in for the opposition in behind them.
Again, Sean Ellis on the ball, and Atheu comes and helps out. Has to use Wilkins in support. Wilkins looks for options and is forced to go back into his own half of the field, but Heidelberg do maintain possession. Here's Schiavo and Wilkes, and Schiavo again, dropping very, very deep early. The former Lions man. And here is Schiavo again, looking forward towards Ellis, controls it on his chest, and it had to be captain Michael Angus mopping up there. Still Heidelberg maintain possession. Wilkes is aimed towards some space in between Ellis and Atheu. That time Biles had to be alert, the Heidelberg captain. Atheu turned on a dime there and looked like he might have been caught. No foul given by referee Adrian Arndt. Atheu is getting back into the line. Doesn't look to be too badly hampered, and nice chase, but back to square one with Chris Theodoridis, apologies. Comfortably headed by Marshall, but Heidelberg again maintaining possession. This is a pattern emerging. Wilkins aiming the ball forward towards Schiavo. Hensley was there, but at the cost of a corner. And that's, again, dangerous position. Schiavo seems to be playing everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, he's doing well, making himself available at every situation. But I think with those balls, they've done a few coming out from the keeper as well, and a little dink in there too. They really need to find Kenny with those ones where rather, I mean, it's good run by Schiavo, but it's really tough to just drop it in there for him.
A few bodies in front of New Zealand Youth International Zach Speedy, but the ball never made it that far and was cleared out for a throw-in.
Yeah, well whipped in corner there, but fortunately for Heidelberg, no one attacking that one. Ruben Wade just switching wings here, so he's obviously got a monster throw if you're making your winger run right across the field to take it.
There you go, it was almost as good a delivery as the corner, perhaps even better. Greg Hensley having to be alert, and here is Way. Nicely chipped in there by Petrie, it's still there. Flag is up on this near side, and Zara is the offending party. Speedy will take the free kick quickly, and he'll aim it all the way up towards Jeremy Stewart, the only strikers player in the attacking half. And it's quite easily mopped up by the Heidelberg defence, and they'll launch another attack on that left-hand side. There's Atheu. Nice flick, asking a little bit too much of the support runner. And now strikers turn to attack. And here is Hiroki Amori. 50-50 ball, and it was well dealt with by Josh Wilkins, and an opportunity now for Sean Ellis to attack. And Ellis goes to ground, but the ball was taken by the strikers' defence, and then Atheu wins the ball back again. Comes back to Atheu. It's a poor option, really. Should have perhaps kept the ball a little closer to him.
Yeah, not a great touch from Atheu either, but yeah, strikers really got to watch that. Bit short on their passes there, and Heidelberg are very quick to pounce on these 50-50 challenges.
Palmer giving the ball away there, and once again Atheu loses his footing. Hensley was a fair way away. I think it was just a trip.
Hurt his ankle a little bit there as he fell over, but as we find most African players quite big and gangly, and that usually contributes to the toughness to playing against them. So yeah, big Atheu, I'm sure we'll see a lot from him tonight.
South Sudanese player really made his mark in Victoria. He won the Golden Boot and the Players' Player at the State Awards ceremony. Lee playing the through ball. There's another opportunity, perhaps the strikers. It just didn't fall for Jake McLean.
Yeah, a lot of usually strikers, their best work, as we said, is through their fullbacks. But tonight, their little intricate passing is really paying off for them. And I'm sure they'll get an opening at some stage. It's just whether or not they can take it.
They did change tactics somewhat against South Hobart, and that was a loose challenge, to put it mildly, by Josh Wilkins.
Yeah, he's not shy of a tackle, but yeah, I'm sure he hasn't played against old Jakey McLean too much. Who did play in Melbourne, to be fair, Jakey McLean, but he's pretty quick and pretty nimble. Usually makes you think, oh, you've got a chance, but he's just that quick that he can just skip past you.
Had a spell with Oakley Cannons in 2015 to Jake McLean before moving back to Queensland. Angus. McLean. Amori. Not given much space. That's how Heidelberg will want to keep it. Doherty unable to find a way through, but still putting the pressure on, and that's excellent work from Doherty to put Petrie under pressure. And Theodoridis is called upon to clear, but he only clears it as far as Michael Angus, and strikers retain possession through Hensley. Excellent work in that attacking area.
Yeah, I think it was
Doherty,
Schiavo back there who was quite lucky in the end, but yeah, one of those, sometimes when you're attacking players are that deep, they think they can still play like they're in the attacking third, and a little bit more risky doing that when it's only your keeper to beat after that.
Heidelberg in possession now, moving the ball neatly in the midfield. Here's Schiavo and Wilkins. Wilkins looking for an option, finds a Theo as an option. Zach Speedy was out. The flag did go up on this near side. Referee Arndt playing on. The change in style this season, potentially born out of the fact that Owen Baker, two players square up in front of each other. Looks like a bit of handbags at sunset. Nothing doing. As I was saying, Owen Baker, new coach at Strikers after Sean Lane rather sensationally left after the semi-final. We'll come back to that as that ball's aimed towards a Theo. Hensley had to make the header and it looped dangerously towards Speedy's goal, but he was able to claim it high above his head and no real pressure put on the young keeper. Said earlier this week that this season has surpassed expectations, and the opportunity to play on the national stage is something that at the start of the season he was certainly hoping for. Knew he was coming into a good side in Strikers, having won the PlayStation 4 National Premier League's Queensland title last season. To go back-to-back, the first team in Queensland to do so in the NPL era. Ellis tries to get past two strikers, but Michael Angus comes up with it. Strikers are playing with fire again over on this near left side of the field. And Heidelberg do get their just rewards with a throw-in.
Yeah, it is one of those where a club that certainly prides himself on trying to play out from the back, that you do run that risk of the sides pinching it in what seems a dangerous area.
That long throw by Way, and it's bouncing around a little bit, hurriedly cleared. And Ruben Way is going to have another opportunity to swing this ball in, very Rory Delap-like.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great attacking weapon, but at the same time makes it very predictable for the strikers. They know exactly where it's coming every time. So hopefully Heidelberg, you know, as we said, they get a flick on there. It certainly is a dangerous weapon, but maybe mixing it up a bit will throw the strikers off a little bit more.
It was Hall who managed to get the flick on. He hasn't scored yet this season as Lewis Hall in 25 appearances in all competitions down in Victoria and the Westfield FFA Cup. But what a time to get it if you are going to get your opening goal of the campaign. It's been a phenomenal season for Heidelberg. They won the Doherty Cup, domestic cup in Victoria, as well as the Premiership, PlayStation 4 National Premier League's Victoria. They did fall in the grand final though. Fortunately beaten by Bentley Greens, who they did beat on penalties in the Doherty Cup final, so a bit of revenge there for Bentley. Bentley finishing in 4th spot, not dissimilar to how things turned out up here in the Sunshine State with Western Pride, the feel-good story. Coming from a long way back, 9th spot at the halfway mark.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, I suppose for the neutrals of who was in the grand final, it was a great win for Western Pride. But yeah, Strikers, the perennial, you know, usually finish the season first or second, and just can't get it over the line for some reason in a final series.
Well, in the 5 years of the PlayStation 4 National Premier League's Queensland, Strikers have finished fourth, second, first. And they've gone out in the semi-final 4 times and lost in the grand final once. That's a disappointing return, isn't it, in the postseason for a club such
Yeah,
as Strikers?
certainly is when you can do so well all season, for some reason you just can't convert um, these knockout games. But as we said, I think what's helped is the NPL teams, especially in Queensland, being allowed back in a cup competition up here, which they haven't always been, and obviously going well in the FFA Cup. I think will hone some of these players into learning how to you know must-win games where it's not about points; it's actually getting it over the line on the night.
An era of much change in Queensland with the introduction of the Football Queensland Premier League. As Heidelberg can't quite keep that ball in and give away a goal kick, which Zach Speedy will take. An expanded top tier, a 15-team top tier as it stands. It's been a couple of chops and changes to that.
And it's good to see that we've got a bit of relegation now in Queensland too, where the teams that might not do too well in the season can't just think, oh well, we'll just have a bit of a kick around and worry about next season. You got to still worry about not finishing last, because you'll find yourself a league down.
That's a nice flick on by Atheu, and Zara is onside here, and that's a fantastic save by Zach Speedy. Absolutely brilliant save, golden opportunity for Heidelberg to take the lead.
Yeah, great flick on by Kenny. I think it was a pretty tight one for offside, but we'll give the benefit of the doubt to the linesman and the attacking player. But I think Zara could have done better there. He's tried to slot that in the bottom corner. Nice side-footed effort, but yeah, I think he should have put a bit more power on that one, and might have been a different result.
It was a phenomenal save by New Zealand youth international Zach Speedy. You'll want that one on the highlights reel for sure.
Yeah, great save down to his right-hand side there. But just shows you that King Kenny, that's what he's there for, and certainly a strength of his, that little flick on.
That was less impressive from Ryan Palmer, who was trying to thread the ball through into space for Jeremy Stewart, but ended up getting a lot closer to Theodoridis than he anticipated. I think even Theodoridis had to run a fair way to get it. It was a disappointing ball, but it's been an even game so far. 19 minutes gone.
Yeah, certainly that chance to Zara probably being the best one of the night. That he failed to capitalise on that, but yeah, quite an even game. Still looking to see the Strikers utilise their wing backs here, but yeah, we'll see how the game develops.
Being pegged back a little bit, the Strikers, and there's a collision over on that far side. We're going to see our first booking of the game.
Sammy Knight not too happy there on the floor. He's quite a tough nut, so takes a fair bit for him to stay down anyway.
Another player who was unhappy was the man who was booked. And looked like a 50-50 ball. He went in with his studs. I think it's probably a fair call from referee Adrian Arndt.
Yeah, definitely the right decision there. We'll give him that one.
That's the first booking of the evening. It was the right back who has gone into referee's notebook. It's a rather wasted free kick straight onto the chest of Josh Wilkins. Wilkins again trying to find Atheu. And that was a sloppy challenge by Ryan Palmer, and the Heidelberg bench are up in arms and are desperately appealing for a yellow card to be shown to young Palmer. But
yeah, poor touch by Palmer, and certainly deserved a free kick, that one. But I do think he was pulling out of that one. I think that you can't just give him a yellow just tit for tat on that one. So settle down, Heidelberg, sit back down there, let the ref do it.
Laura Lee explaining the decision to the Heidelberg bench. And it's a long bench here at Perry Park, and I don't think the message has quite got to the far end yet, but play does continue with Speedy playing a dangerous ball towards Marshall, and Speedy had to rush over when getting mugged by Alex Schiavo. Nice control there by Angus and Amori.
Good work by Michael Angus. One of the strengths there, just mopping up the loose balls as he always does. Reads the game very well, Gus Bus.
Here's Lee.
Hasn't had too much to do tonight, Michael Lee, so he really needs to get involved a bit more for the strikers and try and get on that ball.
Noticed that a couple of times when we've been here throughout the season, haven't we, Jonty? He's been quiet for periods and then he'll pop up with a goal or a vital intervention.
I suppose if he really wants to be one of those top players, it's just getting that consistency where you'll have a really good game, or like you said, a good period. But yeah, if he wants to be a top player in the league and on the national level anyway, he needs to really do it all the time.
An opportunity perhaps for Stewart. Challenged by Biles, and strikers maintain possession with Angus, and here's Amori with a little bit more space. This is probably the most space he's been given since the opening exchanges. He found McLean trying to fight his way through a blind alley, and Schiavo will clear up towards Kenny Athiu, who's well shepherded out by Jake Marshall.
He's got great confidence, old McLean, and can get through a locked door with the ball at his feet anyway. But yeah, quite tight there for the strikers. So I think sometimes it's worth maybe Amori even just whipping one in and putting the goalkeeper and defence under a bit more pressure there.
That wasn't just locked, it was bolted and had a line outside waiting for it. There's no way through.
No way through there.
That wall of grey shirts. Of course, strikers in their home strip of yellow. Heidelberg normally in a fluorescent yellow themselves. Hensley back to Speedy. Speedy, that ball might have taken a bit of a bobble. It's gone straight up in the air, and Athiu headed the ball towards Sean Ellis, who pointedly motioned that he was offside to Ken Athiu. The strikers over on that far side with Knight. Played the ball through to Lee. Lee trying to find a way through Hall. Finds Palmer. Back to Lee. Lee on the edge of the area, he shapes to shoot. It went under the foot of Josh Wilkins. And the referee has given a corner. That's just what we were talking about, that spark from Michael Lee.
Yeah, nice play and composure there, just on the edge of the box. He's done well to fashion a shot out of that. I don't think he quite struck it as he'd like to, but at least it resulted in a corner kick for the strikers.
This is the first corner.
Looks like a short one, possibly for the strikers here. There's no Jakey's going to whip it in.
Look towards the back post and Hensley.
Probably the least likely spot for the strikers to win it there. He's put it right on Kenny's head at the back post. So I think not quite the plan there for McLean. He's probably better off whipping that near post.
He is a target though, isn't he, from corners, Greg Hensley. He's managed a couple of goals, of course, scored here in the Westfield FFA Cup last year against Melbourne City in front of the Fox Sports cameras. Fortunately, then conceded in his own net a couple of moments later, but he's a dangerous header of a ball, Hensley, but you're right, when he's up against a man mountain.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's something Heidelberg have identified. It was Big Kenny back there who said, you pick up that big scruffy Scottish looking dude. And yeah, it's a tough one there, but it's a good battle for those two.
It's going to be interesting as the drums start. Down to our left, Athiu and Hensley battling again. Played back to Petrie. Over to that far side, and Sean Ellis, who's popped up on the left. But
poor decision there by Petrie. It was a mile offside and the wrong run there. Shouldn't have called for the ball. But again, it's just having that awareness also from the person playing the ball there. Offside by a mile. Never should be caught when you're looking along the line like that as a winger. Should never be caught offside, especially in that situation where not too much pressure on either of you.
It's a coach killer, isn't it? And George Katskakis is fairly motionless. He's kept his cool for the entire game so far. There's been not all that much to get riled up about so far, as Zara bears down on Amori, tries to flick the ball past Hiroki Amori and is fast discovered that he's
good
not gonna
confidence
get
there
rid
by
of it.
Zara. But yeah, if there's one man you don't want to have a foot race with, it's probably a Hero. But yeah, that's a nice little battle there too. I think he tried to go the long way around as well. So yeah, a bit of a mismatch of pace there, I think.
Unlike the fighter jets we saw before kickoff, he hasn't put the afterburners on quite yet, has Hiroki Omori, but he's a more than capable opponent to most speedsters. And here's an opportunity for strikers. It goes left to Stewart. Stewart tried to get that ball inside, and now they're falling over each other, are the strikers players, and a sloppy free kick given away on Zara. And
Yeah.
the chance goes begging.
Yeah, good little break there from strikers. I'd say this in the nicest way, but probably unfortunately fell to Stewart's feet, where he's not the most technical of the strikers midfielders, and just couldn't quite find his cross there, and in the end committed a foul as well. So double whammy there for the strikers. But nice little break there, which is really important. If you do, you got to do it with speed and with numbers, which the strikers did have there.
A very even game so far. Hiroki Omori with the header, it comes straight back to him, so he heads it straight back again to the feet this time of Petrie, but comes up and Michael Angus, and Angus has gone down holding his leg.
Bit of a nasty one there. Well read by Angus to cut it out, but not the best touch from him. And yeah, Petrie sliding in quite nicely there with his studs showing. Heidelberg blowing up saying, oh, you got the ball, but I don't think you can slide in like that with your feet up anymore. So.
Well, Ruben Way was booked for a similar
exactly.
tackle over on that far side just a few moments ago.
Michael Angus doesn't go down for too much, so he certainly did catch him there.
Both teams taking the opportunity to get some fluids on board. You did speak before the game that the heat has come out the day. There's a cool change. It's going to be 10 degrees cooler in the state southeast tomorrow, but the Heidelberg players are not accustomed to this kind of heat at this stage of the year.
No. I mean, 24 degrees at kickoff for a 6 o'clock kickoff. Still quite warm, obviously, especially when you're running around trying to play with some good intensity. But yeah, everyone grabbing a drink and getting the fluids back on ball and ready to go for the second half of this first half.
It's not quite heat tolerance levels like we'll see later in the summer, I'd imagine. But drop ball given to Stewart, and he'll play it all the way back to Theodoridis.
Angus makes himself back on the field there, so must have got him on the shin bone, because he certainly doesn't have any calf muscles. But he seems to be doing all right.
Here is Angus, and a foul on Lee this time. Getting a little bit scrappy. Now as Angus is chased down by Schiavo. Neat interplay by the strikers. Palmer requested it and received it. Here's Omori. Omori has some space now, and this is where he's so dangerous. That was a wrong option from Hiroki Omori, but he battles hard to win it back.
Yeah, he's got a great left foot and great pace, but sometimes I think he just doesn't have that belief to hit it with his right foot, where, you know, it doesn't always have to be the world's best strike, but you just got to work on hitting that far post. You never know, another body might get on the end of it, or it might just creep in the far post. It's certainly something that Hero could add to his quite impressive game.
McLean aimed that ball towards Jeremy Stewart. You were alongside me when he did pull the trigger with his right foot, and we both nearly out of the commentary box.
He's got it in his locker, that's for sure, so he shouldn't be afraid to use it, where it's certainly there. He wasn't quite confident of hitting it with his right peg, but yeah, pull that trigger, Hero, and you never know what'll happen.
It'll be worth checking that out on highlights of PlayStation 4 National Premier League Queensland if you're not accustomed to the league. It was an absolute belter in what was a phenomenal game between the state's top two sides, Strikers and Gold Coast City. Foul has been blown against Jeremy Stewart. It did look like he caught the Heidelberg player. Can't quite see who it is amongst the maze of bodies.
I think it was Petrie. Might have got a chop there from Stewart, but yeah, he seems to be fine.
Not too much in it, but it certainly did look like a foul. Here's Wilkins. Wilkins, not a great touch, allowing Michael Angus to skip in and steal the ball, as he's done so often this first half hour of this PlayStation 4 National Premier League's 2017 Grand Final. Wilkins trying to steal a few yards. Thiu bumping and jostling with Doherty. And it's there for Schiavo, and now a Thiu. Back to Schiavo, but it was well headed by Marshall. Nice by Zara. Tried to thread the ball through, did Wilkins, into a dangerous position, but was unable to get the cross away. Strikers still playing at the back, and a Thiu putting Amori under all sorts of pressure, but that's wonderful composure from Hiroki Amori to find Jake Marshall, and Strikers will escape up the right-hand side with Sam Knight. And there was another foul given. You heard the roar from the Bill Waddell stand. The Strikers faithful not overly happy with that in front of the corporate boxes here at Perry Park. Lovely touch by Lee. And then his pass really let him down.
Yeah, that's one of those consistencies in his game. He certainly, as we saw with his touch, great touch. He's got some great skill, but just having the mental toughness to just make sure that next pass is good, or picking the right options is just something that for him he could work on.
Here's Amori. Angus back to Amori. He's put under a lot of pressure from Wilkins. And Heidelberg really pouncing on this slightly slow Strikers play, but they've been able to maintain possession of the hosts, and through Michael Lee are able to launch an attack of themselves. That's pulling the trigger from Michael Lee. That was ambitious as well.
Not a bad effort. I don't think it's ever troubling the keeper though, but yeah, one of those, you sometimes catch it right and it flies in the top corner, but you know, hindsight's a great thing. It's always, you'd say, yeah, you probably should have chose a different option there, but if you stuck it in the top corner, you'd say, great decision.
He scored in the 5th minute of injury time in the semi-final against Edgeworth, a 2-0 win for Brisbane Strikers, adding to Jeremy Stewart's goal down in the Hunter. He scored 8 goals this season, Michael Lee. Managed a fairly healthy 23 from 78 Redlands appearances in his previous life. Cross comes in from Wilkins. It was behind the massed ranks of Zara and Thiu. And now Strikers look to attack. Game opening up a little bit here as Jake McLean looks for an option, finds Lee. Amori is on acres of space on this near side. Lee chose to ignore him and go back to his captain. Angus slightly overruns that and allows Zara to break free. And Thiu is fouled by a combination of Jake Marshall.
I think he was just outnumbered there. He's done well, the big fella, to go down. But one of those, as Michael Angus protests there.
It's a fairly heavy challenge, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was all ball. I think he just wasn't aware of the guy coming there. But anyway, fair play to the referees, given the decision. That's what it is. A few guys sucking in the big ones at the moment for Heidelberg, so maybe that heat's affecting them a little bit more than we thought.
Well, it's not just the heat at game time, as it's a fairly comfortable 20 or 24 so degrees at the moment. It's more the heat during the day, isn't it? And you get used to it up here. You put your fluids in during the day and you don't struggle so much in the evening. But now it looks like the Heidelberg players are suffering a little bit from the heat, and that has perhaps leveled the playing field somewhat, although Strikers have been playing very ably and capably so far in the opening 35 minutes of this game. Just the 2 real clear-cut chances. Zara having a golden opportunity inside the opening 20 minutes. It's a fantastic save by Zach Speedy down to his right. Strong hand. That's probably one of the top saves you'll see from a young keeper, one-on-one with a striker with A-League experience. And then Michael Lee's had a couple of opportunities, one more recently an audacious effort from all of 30 yards, and then that scuffed shot in the 25th minute. Thiu has had a bit of treatment. He's had a couple of knocks so far in this game. He's going to be in for a fair bit of punishment, as you mentioned, from the
and I mean, it's a tough one for the strikers when you want to hold the ball up there for Big Kenny, but yeah, it's I think when he does hang on to the ball, you invite those challenges as well. So you got to have tough ankles and shins if you want to be that man.
I imagine the PlayStation 4 National Premier League's Victoria is just as tough and combative league as it is up here in Queensland, having watched a few videos over the last few weeks. But you won't find many defenders as tough as Greg Hensley, and neither Jake Marshall. Here is Athiu, lovely touch and turn. Uses Petrie in support. Schiavo is onside despite the protestations. Zara crosses into Athiu. Athiu did get a touch. It almost fell for Ellis behind him. Peels for the corner. Flabbergasted it's not given, in fact. Goal kick is the decision. And Zach Speedy will take it. Good opportunity for Heidelberg.
Yeah, nice ball in there by Zara, but Hensley just did enough again there. Sometimes that's the best part of defending, is you just got to get your head as near to the ball as you can, and that might be enough to put off the striker.
Headed straight into the back of Ryan Palmer, but he's unable to make the most of it. It goes all the way back to the goalkeeper, and now Heidelberg will look to press on with Wilkes. Schiavo. It's deflected off Doherty, could cause problems. It's there for Ellis, perhaps. It's Knight and Hensley doing the cleaning up, and then Angus provides an outlet. Can't quite find Ryan Palmer, and Palmer can't keep it in. And Heidelberg will take the throw. Settle down a little from that frenetic period.
Yeah, I think just after that little stoppage there, it's a little bit of a lull period, but that's probably one of the most dangerous times in the game, where both sides sort of take their foot off the gas slightly.
Start looking towards the Oranges at half-time. That's a lovely touch to set Ryan Palmer free.
Good cover there by Wilkes as well.
He was unable to make the most of it. It was excellent defending. Good tackle. Good tackling in that midfield, but Alex Schiavo gets his foot on it and is able to play the ball away. Amori, comfortable header to deal with Zara. And Amori has a bit of space on this near side, doesn't continue his run, doesn't need to. Ethan Doherty plays in. Stewart! And Stewart flashes that across the face of goal. That's an opportunity for the hosts.
I'll tell you what, good effort there by Stewart. It probably wasn't the greatest of touches from him then. The keeper hesitated. He probably could have come out and claimed that one, but yeah, Stewart tight angle, and he's done very well to squeeze that past the keeper, but unfortunately he's just squeezed it past the post as well.
That is definitely Striker's best opportunity in this first half. 38 minutes gone, it is still 0-0. That was excellent work by Jake McLean. He finds Palmer. That's a lovely ball by Stewart over towards Knight on that far side. Striker's suddenly looking dangerous. Palmer unable to maintain possession, but Knight wins it back. Knight does well to win it back. Here's Doherty. Amori has space on this near touchline. Lee. Forced to go back to Marshall, but Striker's maintaining possession. Hensley. Angus has Athiu bearing down on him. Must have heard the footsteps because he got rid of it quickly to Marshall. It's a vital intervention by Schiavo. Allows Way to mop up at the back. Clears that ball past Knight, but it's only as far as Hensley, and Strikers having the lion's share of possession over the last couple of minutes. It's well dealt with though by the covering Heidelberg defenders, and that's a long ball by Theodoridis.
Yeah, Marshall did well at the back there against the big fella, but young defender, old Marshall, but he certainly has, I suppose, learned a lot of Hensley as well, but quite accomplished, the young man, and plays like an old man, not a young fella.
Well, he's just 19 years old. He has learned a lot from Hensley. As an opportunity perhaps opens up for Wilkins. Managed to fire a shot away, and it was on target. Speedy, perhaps wary of the deflection. Had to do what he's paid to do. He did it fairly comfortably in the end, but with a deflection deflected shot like that, it's very difficult for a keeper, even though the deflection
Yeah, I mean,
was
luckily
quite
for
close
him,
to the
it
shot.
came right into the breadbasket, but strikers have an opportunity here.
Lee was onside. Theodoridis able to claim. There were calls of offside. Looked good from our angle. That's threaded through towards Alex Schiavo. He's onside as well, and that's another brilliant save by Speedy, but it's comfortably knocked home by Adrian Zara. And Heidelberg have the lead in the 41st minute here at Perry Park.
Great finish there by Zara as Schiavo lies on the ground in agony, but yeah, nice little through ball there, and I don't know what Schiavo is doing. He's too busy looking at the linesman and ended up giving him not much time there. He's being clattered by Stewart. By Speedy, sorry. And so yeah, it's fallen kindly for Zara. I think some of the Strikers players are still worried about the injured Schiavo, and Zara's just nicely curled that one in with the side foot into the top corner. Well done, Heidelberg, 1-0.
It was a very comfortable and assured finish from Adrian Zara. That's his 6th goal of the season. And Schiavo is up on his feet. It was brave from Schiavo and Speedy, both going for that same ball. Speedy did his job.
Yeah, Speedy did well, but unfortunately for him, it's just fallen kindly for Zara, who, to be fair to him, did really well to put that in the back of the net. He could have gone for power and blazed it anyway, but it's coolly slotted that one away.
It's a beautiful finish from the one-time A-League star.
Strikers there trying to get straight back into it, but unfortunately for them, big Michael Angus couldn't get his dink into the corner. The radar was a bit off there. Tough time to concede for the Strikers as well, but a couple more minutes here. I'm certainly hoping they can pinch one back, but I think Heidelberg will be taking this 1-0 lead into the half-time break, which I suppose on the balance of play is not quite correct, but they'll take it.
Zara was most alert, the former Melbourne Heart and Perth Glory man. While others were perhaps waiting for Alex Schiavo to pop that ball past the on-rushing Speedy, he was able to lay claim to the ball on the ground as that ball is cleared and cleared straight towards us in the commentary box. Strikers with a greater sense of urgency as Hiroki Omori gets free and finds some space, and that's a lovely looking cross. Unfortunately for the hosts, Jeremy Stewart was a little bit too far away, and it was padded down by Theodoridis in the first instance, but comfortably gathered in the second. He throws it long to Josh Wilkins on this near side. Situations like that, it's almost understandable to perhaps take a step back, but it shows you have to be alert in all instances in this game, because all it takes is one moment and you're a goal down in a grand final.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't too much doing there for Heidelberg. Nice little ball forward, and old Kilkenny did well, and which resulted in a goal for the United side.
Disappointing pass by Michael Lee, and Kenny Athiu is able to win the free kick, and it's a dangerous position to concede a free kick, and with just 60 seconds remaining in normal time in this first half. So Lara Lee looks at her watch in front of us. Could be an opportunity perhaps for Sean Ellis to swing this ball in. He's scored 14 goals himself this year. If he swings it in towards the far post, could be dangerous. He doesn't. Goes to Biles, who has a long-range effort, the Heidelberg captain.
I'll tell you what, I don't know Biles too well, but maybe he's got an absolute cannon on him, but that was a really interesting decision there by Ellis to play it to your centre-back for a shot on goal. I think a much better opportunity there if he just whipped that into the box, and someone like old Atheo could have got on the end of it.
Only scored 2 goals this season as the Heidelberg captain. Alex Schiavo is bundled to the ground, and a foul conceded by Greg Hensley on the edge of the area. I wonder if this free kick's going to be laid off. I'd say probably not. 2 minutes is the amount of time added on, and this would be a real sucker punch.
Good spot for the Burgers here. So hopefully they don't pass it to Biles for a pull of the trigger again, but certainly an opportunity to go for goal here. A few more players around the ball now, so that's when you know.
Aren't there?
That's when you know it's a goal scoring opportunity. Everyone wants to have a crack themselves.
Well, Sean Ellis does have a pretty impressive shot on him. He's managed 14 goals in all competitions this year, 9 in the NPL Victoria. It does look like the Scot is most likely in this position. Swings it in, that's a dangerous shot, and that's another brilliant save by Zach Speedy. It needed to be made.
Yeah, great
and
save.
Another brilliant save from the former New Zealand Youth International.
Yeah, great save and great shot there by Ellis, and a bit unlucky there. He's done well to get it up and over the wall, but as I said, not quite in the corner, and that's probably just been enough to get Speedy to get his big mid on the ball. Another opportunity here for Heidelberg, though.
Ellis will swing the ball in. It's aimed towards Atheu. Atheu rises highest. It looked like he might have got a touch off the striker last. Goal kick is the decision.
Yeah, he certainly gets his head on the ball. Probably not quite the purchase he needs, and again, not on target, but Hensley just doing like any good defender should do, and he's just making it difficult for Kenny. He's not going, oh, I'm not going to win it. He's still getting his head up there, and so far it's been enough to put off the big man.
It's a brilliant whipped-in corner by Sean Ellis, and I guess it makes that prior free kick all the more remarkable in that he didn't swing it into a dangerous area. Here's Schiavo trying to pounce on a loose ball. It was Marshall who slid and was able to clear. Schiavo not showing any ill effects from that earlier collision with Speedy. Speedy this time jumps with Atheu. Atheu doesn't get the ball in the back of the net. The whistle went anyway for
tough
a foul.
One there. Protected species, the keeper, so you know he's always going to give it as he blows for half time, but I suppose in the end Kenny didn't stick it in the back of the net anyway, so yeah, 1-0, half time.
We go into the sheds with the Victorians leading by a goal to nil. There are a couple of frustrated Heidelberg players having a discussion with referee Adrian Arndt over that decision. Unfortunately, Kenny Atheu wasn't able to put the ball in the back of the net anyway. It looked like the strikers' defence were just about able to scramble, although how much of that was to do with the whistle, we will never know. But it's been a fantastic first half, very interesting. Both sides have had their chances, but it was that 41st minute goal by Zara, a real opportunist strike from the former A-League star, that is the difference here. The players will have a break. We're going to have a short break as well. We'll join myself, Simon Smale, and John T. Richter after these highlights that we'll show you at half-time.
Great ball there down the line for Heidelberg.
Ellis gets to the byline. He has Atheu on the inside. It was a side-footed shot by Lewis Hall, and it wasn't very pattern emerging. Wilkins aiming the ball forward towards Schiavo. Hensley was there at the State Awards ceremony. Lee playing the through ball. And there's another opportunity, perhaps, for strikers. It just...
So, hopefully Heidelberg, you know, as we said, they get a flick on there. It certainly is off a league down.
That's a nice flick on by Atheu, and Zara is onside here, and that's a fantastic save by Zach Speedy. Absolutely brilliant save. Finds Palmer. Back to Lee. Lee on the edge of the area. He shapes to shoot. It went under the foot of Josh Wilkins. And the referee has given strikers play, but they've been able to maintain possession of the hosts, and through Michael Lee are able to launch an attack of themselves. That's pulling the trigger from Michael Lee. That was ambitious as well. Petrie in support. Schiavo is onside despite the protestations. Zara crosses into Atheu. Atheu did get a touch. It almost fell for Ellis behind. Doesn't continue his run. Doesn't need to. Ethan Doherty plays in. Stewart! And Stewart flashes that across the face of goal. That's an opportunity. Lee was onside. Theodoridis able to claim. There were calls of offside. Looked good from our angle. That's threaded through towards Alex Schiavo. He's onside as well, and that's another brilliant save by Speedy, but it's comfortably knocked home by Adrian Zara. 14 goals himself this year. If he swings it in towards the far post, could be dangerous. He doesn't. Goes to Biles, who has a long-range effort. The Heidelberg captain is most likely in this position. Swings it in. That's a dangerous shot, and that's another brilliant save by Zach Speedy. It needed to be made.
Big mid on the ball. Another opportunity here for Heidelberg, though.
Ellis will swing the ball in. It's aimed towards Atheu. Atheu rises highest. It looked like he might have got a touch off the
Australia lead magnificently. 10-point cross again from the corner. And Juric! This is your stage.
Great ball there down the line for Heidelberg.
Ellis gets to the byline. He has Atheu on the inside. It was a side-footed shot by Lewis Hall, and it wasn't very pattern emerging. Wilkins aiming the ball forward towards Schiavo. Hensley was there at the state awards ceremony. Lee playing the through ball, and there's another opportunity perhaps for strikers. It just...
So, hopefully Heidelberg, you know, as we said, they get a flick on there. It certainly is a league down.
That's a nice flick on by Atheu, and Zara is onside here, and that's a fantastic save by Zach Speedy. Absolutely brilliant save. Finds Palmer. Back to Lee. Lee on the edge of the area, he shapes to shoot. It went under the foot of Josh Wilkins. And the referee has given strikers play, but They've been able to maintain possession of the hosts, and through Michael Lee are able to launch an attack of themselves. That's pulling the trigger from Michael Lee. That was ambitious as well. Petrie in support. Schiavo is onside despite the protestations. Zara crosses into Atheu. Atheu did get a touch. It almost fell for Ellis behind. Doesn't continue his run. Doesn't need to. Ethan Doherty plays in. Stewart! And Stewart flashes that across the face of goal. That's an...
Here.
Lee was onside. Theodoridis able to claim. There were calls of offside. Looked good from our angle. That's threaded through towards Alex Schiavo. He's onside as well, and that's another brilliant save by Speedy.
But it's
Comfortably knocked home by Adrian Zara. 14 goals himself this year. If he swings it in towards the far post, could be dangerous. He doesn't. Goes to Biles, who has a long-range effort. The Heidelberg captain is most likely in this position. Swings it in. That's a dangerous shot, and that's another brilliant save by Zach Speedy. It needed to be made.
Big mid on the ball. Another opportunity here for Heidelberg, though.
Ellis will swing the ball in. It's aimed towards Atheu. Atheu rises highest. It looked like it might have got a touch off the Well, as you can see, the players have made their way back onto the field after their short break. And if you are just joining us, we missed a crackerjack of the first half, a really competitive, compelling opening 45 minutes. And it is the visitors from Victoria, Heidelberg United, who lead Brisbane Strikers by a 1-0. And it was a pretty fantastic finish. Adrian Zara capitalising on a collision between Alex Schiavo and Zach Speedy to side foot a curling shot home from outside the area. He didn't have much room to work with. He managed to curl it home delightfully. It was a really fantastic finish from the one-time A-League star. But for Strikers, who had a couple of opportunities themselves, particularly towards the end of that first half, it was a real sucker punch, wasn't it, Jonty Richter?
Yeah, quite evenly matched in the first half, both sides. But yeah, Heidelberg did what you need to do in football, and they took their chance when it came to them. So great little finish there by Zara, but I'm sure the Strikers will look to try and get back in this game as soon as possible in this second half.
Bit of controversy just before the half-time whistle as well. Looked like King Kenny Athiu was through on goal, but for a judged foul on Zach Speedy, it might have been a bit of a goalkeepers union coming into play from referee Adrian Arndt, because it was perhaps a soft decision. And you have to say the Heidelberg players were most upset that he was unable to be given the opportunity to get his shot away. In fact, there was covering defence, and whether or not that made a difference, we will never know. And it remains 1-0, and Strikers having it all to do, really. Fortunately for them, Adrian Zara is back on the ball and has a little bit of space on this near side. He's been closed down, though, by Strikers captain Michael Angus. And the cross was headed clear as far as Ryan Palmer, but he's put himself into a spot of bother. But neat interplay from Hiroki Omori. Wonderfully skillful player, Omori. Managed to get himself out of a tight spot there. He hasn't had much of an attacking opportunity in this first half. That's just in this game, in the first half, just that one opportunity really where you perhaps hoped he would have pulled the trigger, but was unable to do so.
Yeah, and I mean, for the Strikers, there's certainly one thing that they don't need to do is panic. They just got to keep themselves in this game and not fall further behind. Something that they did well in their season this year is score some late goals. So as long as they're still in the contest, as we see now in the little bit of a break, they certainly have the capability of scoring late goals, and they won't give up.
Lee finds Knight on this near side. It's a lovely cross in front of Theodoridis. It was a really difficult position to defend. Unfortunately for the Brisbane Strikers, there was nobody there to attack the ball.
Yeah, great play there by Strikers. Nice ball across the face of the goal there from Sammy Knight. I think probably just inexperience there from Stewart. Just maybe read that late, or wasn't quite anticipating and rather reacting once it had already passed. But that opportunity has skipped by him, unfortunately.
It was a great cross from the former Sunshine Coast right back, Sam Knight, in the 13 jersey today. So Thiu gets the better of Jake Marshall, and you might be able to hear the fighter jets. In fact, you'd be hard pushed to miss it. It's rattling everything around us here at Perry Park. Of course, the culmination of the Brisbane Festival, Riverfire, is taking place this afternoon and evening, so we may be treated to some fireworks, Jonty, and not just those that are happening on the field. As the Brisbane River lights up, 50-50 challenge over on that far side. Omori just hobbles away from. It was a Heidelberg throw, and Ellis can't get that ball under control and is adjudged to have been fouled by Marshall. Free kick is taken quickly from a vastly different position from where it was given, according to referee Adrian Arndt, and we will continue once the ball is in a more appropriate position.
King Kenny doing his shoelaces there. He certainly comes under a bit of fire, the big gangly fella, but yeah, he just needs to keep himself in that box and keep making a nuisance of himself, and I'm sure he'll get another few opportunities tonight.
His threat is clear as he momentarily interrupts that ball, and then captain Luke Biles finishes the job. And a little bit of frustration perhaps creeping into Striker's game as another Heidelberg player hits the deck. Jack Petrie played over 100 games for Heidelberg in his career. 28-year-old. And Kenneth Thieu still struggling with those laces. Yeah. He's trotting up into his more accustomed spot on the shoulder of Greg Hensley. It was a fascinating battle in the first half, and it's going to be equally fascinating this time in this second period. Heidelberg playing the possession game with Biles. Biles switches play and forces a fair bit of backpedaling from Josh Wilkins. That's good pace from Ellis, and Ellis skips past a couple of defenders.
Yeah, good work there, but even better defending there from Doherty, I believe. Just used his body nicely against him and ran out of ground there, old Ellis. But yeah, good pace by the Burger.
Done well, Sean Ellis. Played in regional Victoria after he made the switch from Scotland. And then played for a couple of sides before joining the Burgers. Here's an opportunity perhaps on this near side. Sam Knight streaming up, looking for a return ball from Lee. He doesn't get it, but Lee does pick up the ball in the penalty area. He got in a little bit of a muddle with Jake McLean, and Heidelberg were able to clear, but it's still there for Strikers with Michael Angus. Neat flick by McLean, but a little bit too showy, and Heidelberg are able to clear, and it is that man Ellis who's being put under a lot of pressure from Ethan Doherty, and Ethan Doherty did really, really well, and those two are now battling over on that near side, that far side, and that's some excellent work and frustration in the end, getting the better of Sean Ellis, who concedes a free kick. Wonderful battle between those two players there.
Striker certainly should have got a shot away earlier there in that play as it went back down the other end. So both sides getting a little bit stretched now, and that midfield getting gap getting quite large. So should open up some space if that continues.
Loose pass picked up by Schiavo, who had a very full-on first half, managed to get absolutely clattered by Zach Speedy for the goal.
Yeah,
so 50-50 challenge. He did well to...
Found himself popping up all over the field in his own 18-yard box, making challenges and spraying balls here, there and everywhere, and ended up being a creator of the goal in some respects there, but copped a bit of a whack as well. So yeah, he's done well to keep soldiering on, but I'm sure his coach is happy with how he's played that first half.
It's just his 12th appearance of the season for Heidelberg in all competitions, Alex Schiavo, and we'll come back to that after this ball is cleared by Hensley, but only half cleared. It's still there for Ellis. Ellis goes to ground. Lee can't quite get his foot on it. It's chipped in towards Kenny Athiu. Athiu maintains possession. Hensley unable to clear. Way wants the return ball, doesn't get it from Petrie, and Petrie does enough to spin past a couple of strikers, but it was well defended in the end by Sam Knight. And it'll be a goal kick taken very quickly by Zach Speedy. Ends up coming back to him. And Alex Schiavo in a little bit of bother, or posing a few problems for the Strikers' defence, and in the end it was McLean who got crowded out, and here come Heidelberg again. Good intervention though at the back. Lee can't hold on to it this time, and Strikers really unable to keep their feet on the ball.
Just turning it over too much there. Just need to get it up to the big man up front. Well, not so big man, but certainly need to hang on to the ball, because these turnovers are going to count against them eventually.
Way runs up a bit of a blind alley, goes to deck. His advantage is played. It is a corner. It came off Michael Angus. It's a dangerous looking cross. Kenny Athiu was waiting dangerously, lurking with intent around that penalty spot.
It certainly is a go-to, I think, for any Heidelberg player. If you're ever in trouble, just look for the big man up front. So Yeah, I mean, I suppose as a big man, maybe it is a strength, but I suppose you don't always like having to stick your head in certain situations. But I'm sure if it comes off his head in the back of the net, he doesn't care.
Had a little bit of rough treatment, has Kenny Athiu so far in this game, and that's a nice break from the strikers and an opportunity perhaps to make something of this. It's Sam Knight who is tackled from behind. There are calls from all around Perry Park that might have been a foul, but it was a judge that Luke Biles managed to get the ball, and that time Kenny Athiu is bundled to the ground, and this time the referee does blow his whistle, and as we mentioned before, Athiu, who's had some rough treatment in this game, is slow to get up once more.
Yeah, Hensley not giving him any room to breathe there, that's for sure. But probably a right decision on the earlier one there on Sammy Knight. Sort of a tough one, but well played to the referee, and little chance for everyone to settle down as Jeremy Stewart goes down there for the strikers. So not sure what he's struggling with. Looks like a hamstring that he's holding there. As see what the physio can do, how much magic spray he's got in his bag there.
Strikers struggling a little bit with a full strength bench. They have Mitchell Thorne, Braden Steele and Joel Anich, all from the under-20s. They've only played a handful of games between them in the seniors so far this season. Fraser Ella, perhaps an option, the former Palm Beach junior. An exciting young player, only managed 3 goals in 12 involvements in the PlayStation 4 National Premier League's Queensland this year, but is a threat up front. And Luke Marsh, who's scored 10 in 10 for the under-20s, but here's an opportunity perhaps for strikers. Lee vastly outnumbered, 3-on-1 to his disadvantage, and he was in the end bundled out of play. Instead, Heidelberg on the attack, and that ball aimed towards Alex Schiavo. He holds his hands up, wanting a little bit more instruction or perhaps some direction as to what he was meant to be doing in that situation, because with a bit more service or a better service, he would have done well in that situation.
Pretty hopeful ball there by Ruben Wade. Did well to beat his man here on the side, but sort of got to have a bit more purpose, those balls. You can't just lob it up there and hope that something comes of it. Maybe a bit more in behind or down the line, or as we see Sammy Knight clear this one, hopefully. Goal kick there. But yeah, you certainly, with those little dinks in behind, you've got to have a good angle on it, or you really got to find the space. It makes it very tough when you try and drop it on a player's head. A, to control it, and usually to get it to them over that first defender.
Schiavo concedes the free kick on Michael Angus, who tried to play it quickly and ended up playing it into young Alex Schiavo.
One thing that certainly in terms of the bench play here, as Stewart gets his hamstring taped up, Heidelberg certainly, I think, have the more experienced bench as this game wears on, and certainly they're in the upper hand, having the 1-0 lead at the moment. So be interesting for the strikers. Not too much experience there on their bench, but certainly had an opportunity for one of those young lads to make a name for himself tonight.
Strikers momentarily down to 10 men, or that looks to be resolved now as Jeremy Stewart gets back on the field, limping slightly, but he may be asked to do what he can. And a promising opportunity for Kenny Athiu is halted after it was adjudged that Sean Ellis fouled Michael Angus. It's a few disappointed phrases coming from the Heidelberg bench. Is that the correct way of saying
it's always
that?
funny when they're having to go at the fourth official who had nothing to do with it, but yeah, good banter, I suppose.
Lara Lee made of sterner stuff, and
yeah, well, it just shows how serious
think.
these referees are when the fourth official's got her magic free kick spray on her back just in case she's called upon. But so far so good from the referees.
Fail to prepare and fail to prepare to fail, or something like that, Jonty.
Yeah.
Jonty Richter joining me, Simon Smell, on this PlayStation 4 National Premier League's 2017 Grand Final call from Perry Park. Strikers trailing by a 1-0 against the champions of Victoria, Heidelberg United, and that's a dangerous ball that almost fell onto the head of Sean Ellis. Ended up doing just enough, did Jake Marshall, to put off the big Scotsman, who's been instrumental in a lot of the attacking play for Heidelberg United.
Yeah, in this second half, Heidelberg doing quite well in terms of field field area. They certainly camped in the strikers' half at the moment. Strikers just having a bit of trouble trying to get the ball down the other end. Still playing it around nicely, but just it's a long way to go to get to goal. That's the only thing. So it might be worth maybe hitting a few more diagonals, turning them around, usually getting those wide men with the speed in behind just to get Heidelberg a bit more tired and push back. And you never know what will come from there. But, yeah, sometimes it's just trying to do something a bit different. Playing out from the back's fine as long as you can get up the other end of the field. But as we said, they're struggling to do that at the moment.
Do you think Sam Knight and Hiroki Omori are going to play a real key role in this final half hour of the game?
Yeah, well, that's one of the striker's strengths, as I said. So it might be worth, as we said, not trying to go through the middle. Maybe finding one of those boys feet in space and letting them just do a bit of hard running, which is easier said than done, certainly for those two who do a mountain of work anyway. But, yeah, just getting on the ball and maybe just carrying their team up the field would be a real handful for Heidelberg.
Trigger was pulled on the edge of the area. It was blocked, though, by strikers, and they will look to counter-attack now, and perhaps an opportunity for Ryan Palmer. He was shepherded off the ball by Wilkins, and Theodoridis, who hasn't had that much to do in this second half, in particular, was able to claim the ball, and there was a couple of exercises and stretches as Heidelberg looked to make their first substitution of the night. It's launched high in the air, and Speedy put under a lot of pressure. It's no foul given, and Sean Ellis gets Heidelberg's second. He looked towards the referee, as did quite a lot of the strikers' players, but that's a disaster for Zach Speedy. He was unable to claim the ball, and Heidelberg now lead by 2-0.
Yeah, good finish there, but certainly an error there by Speedy. He's done well to get above him, but certainly got to hang on to that ball, that's for sure. And you can't rely on the referee, just give you a free kick every time.
Perhaps got away with one at the end of the first
half.
Yeah,
exactly. So fair play to the Ellis there. He's done well to challenge the keeper. Certainly wasn't a foul in my opinion, and he's done nice to tuck that one away. And Heidelberg 2-0 up makes it really, really tough now for the strikers to get back in this one.
Substitution is being made, and it's going to be Alex Schiavo who is withdrawn. He's done a good shift so far in this game, and it'll be Andrew Kotanos who will be the player who comes onto the field. Kotanos was the goal scorer in the semi-final, who scored the late winner against Apia Leichhardt down.
Certainly looks spent though. Schiavo coming off, so a few knocks and a bit of running. I think he's happy to see his night ended, but 2-0 up, I'm sure he's happy to be coming off at the moment.
Well, a season spent down in Victoria has obviously de-acclimatised him to the start of a Queensland summer. Father Paul, of course, legend at Brisbane City, of a former NSL side. Of course, these two teams both have played at the top flight before. Neat play it was by Atheu. Almost played in Wilkins, and Wilkins is getting more and more into the game as well as time has gone, and it's the Heidelberg defensive players who are making all the running as opposed to the strikers. Yeah,
I'm sure it feels a lot better when doing the hard running when you're 2-0 up than 2-0 down, but Atheu there does love a back heel, and that one almost paid off for his side.
We spoke about scoring your first goal of the season at vital moments. That goal in the semi-final was Kotanos' first goal of the season. So if you're going to score one, score it in the 80th minute of a national semi-final. Nice interplay there by Ryan Palmer. It's still there for strikers. It was bouncing around. Lee has an opportunity. Doesn't pull the trigger. Flicks the ball in. It is bobbled by Theodoridis. And it goes out for a corner.
Heidelberg very lucky there, but yeah, great play by young Peanut there. As he's known by his teammates, but yeah, you got to really put those ones away. He's done well to beat 2 or 3 guys there, but you really got to bury those ones. But they've still got a chance here with the corner anyway. But
didn't quite fall for strikers when it counted, but the tall timber is up there. Greg Hensley, we've already mentioned him. It's aimed towards Hensley, but it's well cleared by Kenny Atheu.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to beat him in there, that's for sure.
Just a slight nudge by Kotanos. The Heidelberg bench were most unimpressed with that decision. Strikers looking to catch Heidelberg unawares here, and it was a run by Doherty, but ran something up a blind alley. And a bit of a battle going on now between Way and Knight, and that's excellent work from Strikers. Lee finds himself on the edge of the area. Hiroki Omori pulls the trigger with his left, goes to Lee, falls for McLean. It was always going over the bar, got under it a little bit too much. It was a good opportunity, perhaps, for Strikers to get a goal back.
Still making a few opportunities here, the Strikers, but yeah, they really need to put it on target there. Still not quite troubling the goalkeeper, but yeah, it just shows you that they're not far off it. They just need that little bit of quality in that final attack and third, and they'll get back in this match as Strikers look to make a few substitutions as well.
Looks like Luke Marsh is getting ready, but I don't think he is going to be the first person that Owen Baker calls upon, as Athiu runs it out.
Yeah, great first touch by the big man, but second and third let him down, unfortunately.
Nice work from Lee to evade the attentions of Hall. And now the ball is launched up, and Speedy needed to be quick. He was just about quick enough to get there before King Kenny, who's been a thorn in the Strikers' side all game. With 65 minutes on the clock, Strikers will need to start making inroads at the pointy end of the field. Ruben Way, as we saw in the first half, has a threatening long throw, and he's going to be given the opportunity here to launch this one into the penalty area. Aims towards Kenny Athiu. Athiu did get a touch. It almost fell for goal scorer Ellis, but it was cleared. Wilkins is the nearest player to it though, and he's going to let that ball run out just on the near side of halfway.
Heidelberg could actually just do a little short throw there and be able to whip that one in, because there's no Strikers play anywhere within Ruben Way when he's doing those throws. So yeah, just mixing it up a little bit. I suppose they're happy with that as a weapon, and they'll continue to use it.
With Athiu lurking in the penalty area, his strong head on it. Mori goes down. Over on that far side. Vital intervention by Knight, but Heidelberg do maintain possession, and Athiu goes down all on his own. Hensley did just enough to put the big Heidelberg striker off. And it was excellent defending from Greg Hensley, because that was a very nice touch by Athiu.
Great play there by Strikers, but again, excellent work by Jordan Wilkes at the back. He's having a superb game, and probably one of the unsung heroes in the side, I suppose. He doesn't do all the flashy stuff, but he certainly does all that nitty-gritty stuff really well, and reads the game excellently as well. As a centre-back, he's come out to the wings a fair bit to make some challenges, so yeah, very impressed with his game.
Just 22 years old is Air Jordan, as he's known down in Victoria. Kenny Athiu looked dangerously close to being offside. There is no flag. Michael Angus will play the ball upfield, now with McLean.
For the Strikers, McLean really needs to get on the ball a bit more. Same with Michael Lee, just try and create something different as this clock sort of starts to wind down now to the final 20 minutes. But yeah, the Strikers need to start putting some real pressure on this Heidelberg defence, or they're going to find it difficult to get back in this match.
Lee and Knight connecting on this near side. Now back to captain Michael Angus. Angus needs to grab this game by the scruff of the neck, but it's McLean who does well there, skips past a couple of challenges, takes a heavy touch, and it's the goal scorer Sean Ellis who clears, doing his defensive duties. And you'd have to say that Heidelberg have done that very well so far this game, playing back and forward with equal effectiveness. Hall aimed that ball up towards Wilkins. The flag belatedly goes up. He did look offside, and we will see that substitution now from the Strikers and Owen Baker, sorry. And it's Braden Steele who is replacing Ryan Palmer.
Yeah, not a bad effort there by Ryan Palmer. He got himself about, unfortunately didn't get a goal, and probably should have, but great opportunity for Braden Steele to just to make a name for himself.
Played the majority of the season in the under-20s. He's only been involved in 5 games for the senior side this year, but Owen Baker, I see something in him to give him his opportunity on the big stage. We touched upon it briefly at the start of the season. Strikers have won the last 2 PlayStation 4 National Premier League's Queensland Premierships, although have failed to make the grand final in both those years. Sean Lane was the coach this season. He left before the start of the national rounds of the PlayStation 4 National Premier Leagues. He's left to go coach at Gold Coast United, who have been entering the NPL Queensland next year. Previous season, Kevin Ahern-Evans was a Premiership winning coach, and he left to go to the Sunshine Coast local league. How much does that affect players? You know, you have a setup here at Strikers that obviously works. So I've spoken about their effectiveness and their quality throughout the last 5 years of the NPL, and of course plenty of years before that. Does it affect the players to have constantly changing coaches like that? Despite
I think it does to some extent. With obviously you build a bit of a relationship with your coach, but I think the one consistency for the Strikers is their style of play, and a lot of the people, like Lane was an assistant coach and Owen Baker assistant coach this year, so it's not like someone's coming in new and just trying to change everything, where it's fairly continuous for the Strikers. But having said that though, I'm sure 3 coaches in 2 years isn't ideal, but as I said, it's in some ways hasn't affected them too much because they've still managed to take out the title. But I mean, the main thing is getting a grand final win under their belt, which at this stage doesn't look like it's going to happen tonight.
Another chapter in this enthralling battle between Kenny Atheu and Greg Hensley played out just there, and again it was Hensley who just about got the better of his Victorian counterpart, and it looks like Kenny Atheu has just gone down with a spot of cramp. You could see the calf tense up there as he tried to take a step, and 70 minutes gone. And the Heidelberg players are starting to flag a little bit.
Yeah, a few players looking like they need a breather there, and happy to grab a bit of fluids on. But yeah, big Atheu does spend a fair bit of time on the ground. Maybe it's a good ploy by him just to get a breather every now and again, but he's found himself in the wars a bit tonight.
If you're going up against Greg Hensley, you might get a couple of bruises.
Certainly will, yeah, that's for sure. He doesn't take a backward step, but...
Not saying that he's a dirty player, of course.
Oh, not at any extent. He's just hard and fair, and yeah, just doesn't give you an inch, which makes him... I think he's won the Brisbane Strikers Player of the Year award about three years in a row.
He did win it this season as well,
as a centre-back, so it just shows you the type of player he is as Heidelberg make their second change.
And it's not to be Ken Atheu's night in terms of goal scoring. He's replaced by Michael Trigger. Michael Trigger is a good backstory for him. We'll get into that after Ruben Way has launched this ball into a dangerous position. It's headed clear at the near post by Marshall, and Strikers will look to clear. Lee unable to get his foot on the ball, and it's there for Ruben Way. And now Petrie. Launched into a dangerous position for the substitute, Trigger. Trigger did get a head on the ball. He did what, unfortunately, Ken Atheu was unable to do, direct one of those headers on goal, and that was poor from Strikers.
Yeah, Michael Angus losing the ball in a very dangerous area there for Strikers, and thank goodness for Zach Speedy. Petrie's put that wide of the post.
That would have been a calamitous effort and a calamitous way to go. 3 goals behind here at Perry Park.
Yeah, dare say that would have been the nail in the coffin for Strikers, so they certainly can't be giving the ball away there and conceding.
Can't take your eyes off this for a moment. Although Heidelberg are the team with the majority of possession on the ball. Here is Lee. Lee being played into a little bit of trouble, and it was the foot of Way that caused the problems. Substitute Michael Trigger is brought to ground by Hensley.
Tough decision. I feel there was a bit of the old yellow card, referee.
That's a strange decision from referee Adrian Hunt, who's had a good game, to be fair.
He has, to be fair, but I think Trigger just ran out of ideas there, and he's sort of been bundled over. I thought it was a fair challenge by Hensley, but the referee's seen it certainly a different way. I feel there's been a few more rougher challenges tonight.
Just over 1,000 people here on what is a big night for Brisbane football, but also a big night for Brisbane City, with the river fire going on just a couple of kilometres away. We're just in Brisbane's north side here at Bowen Hills in Perry Park, so that perhaps influenced the crowd somewhat tonight. Strikers trailing by 2-0. Petrie takes the free kick. It's floated in dangerously, almost onto the head of Ellis. Still there for Heidelberg. Zaha. That's good from Katanos. Very good from Zara. And Hensley goes to ground, and it's this time a free kick, one against Michael Trigger. I mentioned he had a decent backstory. Michael Trigger, he's a Ballarat boy, so country boy, drives to and from Ballarat for training. That's a good level of commitment from the youngster, just 23 years of age.
Good effort there, but I'm sure hopefully he doesn't have to use too many ring roads in Melbourne. Hopefully there's a back way there out to Heidelberg, but yeah, I mean, just shows some players their dedication to play at this level, and good on him.
All the lengths that some players have to go to. Was sort of goal scorer in the NPL Queensland Grand Final, Crestani. Had to make a similar journey. Here's an opportunity for Knight. Paging into the penalty area. One too many touches. Could have perhaps
not a great decision there by Sammy Knight, but probably not his strong suit there. But yeah, strikers really need to come up with something out the ordinary now to try and get a good pinch of goal back here, or it's going to be tough for them tonight.
It's nice close control there from Michael Trigger. So we see Owen Baker make his second substitution of the night, and it's going to be Luke Marsh who comes on. He's replacing Jeremy Stewart, who of course had that right hamstring injury earlier in this second half. And that's
big Lukey Marsh. He's got great potential, Lukey Marsh, some excellent skill, but he's sort of at that age now where you've got to stop saying great potential and he's actually got to start producing, you know. So I think that's a little bit of an age thing, but confidence as well, where he's just got to have a bit more belief in himself, because he's certainly got the ability. He's done it at the youth level. It's just converting that to the senior level now.
Scored 10 goals in 10 games for the under-20s up here in Queensland this season, and that's a nice ball played in towards Michael Trigger. It didn't look like there was much in it, despite both players going to deck, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. And it was Jake Marshall who's hit the deck and is struggling a little bit to get to his feet. He was helped to his feet by Michael Trigger, so I nearly strangled my co-commentator Jonty Richter with the microphone cord. Unintentionally, of course, Jonty.
Yeah, he's just holding his ribs there, young Marshall, so maybe just got clattered on the deck, but he seems to be fine. Certainly not a player who would worry about that too much.
Might be a little bit sore, but he'll have to put that to one side because strikers are running out of time. Just 13 minutes, give or take, injury time in order to get themselves back into this game. And you just feel that Heidelberg are quite comfortable in playing this game out at the moment, leading as they do by 2-0, a goal in each half. One to Adrian Zahara, and then 60th minute strike, fortuitous perhaps, to Sean Ellis. And that time, Andrew Katanos hits the deck and wins a free kick. Again, a free kick in a dangerous position.
Yeah, he's quite a sharp player and very skillful. Yeah, just evaded Sammy Knight there, but Sammy Knight's one of those defenders too. You're either going to get around him or you're not. So he certainly won't let you do that too easily. And as we saw there, just a bit of a body check, and another excellent area for Heidelberg to whip one in and cause some strikers some troubles.
Petrie swings it into a dangerous area. It was Hensley who got his head to it and was able to clear. And now strikers perhaps can launch a counter-attack, and it's 3-on-3, but ball wasn't able to be played fast enough for the counter-attack to be effective, and it's a great
just too slow
effort
there
by
from
Josh Wilkins.
Michael Lee.
And now it's Heidelberg on the attack with Kartanos, the substitute. He races down on Greg Hensley, flashes the ball across the face of goal. Was it a shot or was it a cross for Sean Ellis? Either way, it was a quickly taken goal kick by Zach Speedy, and strikers have possession on that far side with Hiroki Omori. But as have been the problem all game really for Brisbane strikers, they've been unable to keep a hold of possession and hand it over.
On that last little counter attack there from the strikers, just a little bit slow with their passing and movement. Michael Lee in particular, where you really just got to go for it, you know what I mean? It just seems like they slightly hold them back and not overcommitting. When you're on the break like that, the danger area is in behind the defence, and they were sort of just sitting off, happy to have the ball in front of the defence. So again, it's a mental thing, and I'm sure it's easy up here not being out there, but you just got to run hard in those instances, and that's where you're really going to hurt the defence.
We're about to see the introduction of 34-year-old Stephen Pace. That ball flashes across the face of goal again. It's hacked clear by Sam Knight. We will see the substitute. No, we won't. We're going to wait just a little bit. The Heidelberg players as we make the long trek across the field in order to launch this throw-in into a dangerous area. Ruben Way called upon again. It's a bullet of a throw, even when he throws it short. Petrie did well to control it. Here's Way again. Manages to get a cross in towards the edge of the area. It's Sean Ellis, who's twisting and turning and was dispossessed in the end. And that's a nice pass out by Michael Lee, and Jake McLean has a bit of space in front of him. Opts to switch.
Great ball.
Does it very, very well. This is a good opportunity for strikers. Marsh unable to fashion a shot from the edge of the area. Heidelberg able to clear.
Again, just a little bit poor decision there by the strikers in those attacking thirds. Maybe lack of experience, sorry. And yeah, great ball by McLean as he...
Bit of push and shove between the two number 8s. But an opportunity instead for Lee, while a couple of us were watching Michael Angus and Andrew Katanos go at each other after a little bit of a coming together.
Yeah, nice opportunity there by Michael Lee, but again, just snatching at it and going. I think maybe not much thought in it, just trying to blast it, and he's skimmed it off the outside of his boot for a goal kick. Again, you just really got to hit the target there, and you never know. But yeah, if you spray it wide, you got no chance. There's Michael Angus and Katanos, a few words and a few push and shoves there. So I think the young fella happy to speak his mind. Probably thinks he's a little Zidane, but as they sometimes do. But yeah, Michael Angus, I'm sure he's not going to take a backward step. He's got too much experience.
Sean Ellis taking his time. He's put in a fine shift, has the Scotsman. Scoring the second goal, perhaps the vital second goal here at Perry Park.
Yeah, sucking in the big ones as he comes off.
He's
So he's
limping,
certainly done well tonight.
And what a player to be able to call upon. Stephen Pace, he was put through his paces, ignore the pun, last night at Spencer Park in the training session that Heidelberg had up here in Queensland. He's been out injured for a number of weeks with a calf problem, but does have A-League experience, played 8 times for Melbourne Victory, and has made over 100 appearances for Heidelberg as the ball falls perhaps fortuitously for Marsh, who's full of running. The substitute chases down Theodoridis. Was unable to put the goalkeeper, the veteran goalkeeper, under too much pressure. And Heidelberg are able to clear. And it's Ruben Way who has a fair bit of space on this near side, as does Katanos. Katanos chooses to run, cuts back inside. Pushes across the edge of the area. Pace, not quite up to the pace of the game so far. I'll stop doing pace puns, I promise. Let the ball slide across in front of him, and Angus is forced to sweep up. Plays the ball out to Pace. You can hear the drums. That's the Heidelberg fans making all the noise down to our left. Just 6.5 minutes remaining in this PlayStation 4 National Premier League's 2017 Grand Final. And Heidelberg are not going to be too worried about strikers scoring while they have possession themselves.
No, and that's strikers really need to press a bit higher up the field now and try and make this count, but
played
good
through
cover
towards
defence
Knight.
there by Waste, working hard tonight.
That's really been a characteristic of the entire Heidelberg side, hasn't it? They have worked incredibly hard, both in attack and defence. And you'd have to say that's what this scoreline at the moment, I won't say victory, I've made that mistake here a couple of times. Oh, that was a sloppy challenge, dangerous by Lewis Hall. He's going to get a talking to and a yellow card.
Yeah, it's fair enough, I think. I think he's claiming that he's got the ball, but I mean, the strikers players had to jump out the way there, or else it would have cleaned his legs up. I don't know what Heidelberg are thinking that it's their free kick, but yeah, certainly it was a rash challenge. I think the referee has actually given Heidelberg the free kick for the instance just earlier, but yeah, certainly can't be sliding in like that with your stud showing.
Yeah, we'll try and work out the confusion amongst ourselves up here. Theodoridis will take the free kick after all the mix-up. But you're right, I do still think that Lewis Hall was shown a yellow card in all that,
yeah,
so perhaps after the ball was dead. Amori, who's been anonymous in this second half, and really strikers, if they're wanting to get into the game, they really need some of their better players to stand up, and Amori has unfortunately not been able to do that.
Yeah, Heidelberg's done well to pin back Amori and Semi Knight with their speedy wingers, which obviously giving them a bit more defensive work to do hinders them going forward. So certainly somewhere that Heidelberg have done well tonight.
Trigger unable to maintain possession, and the throw-in goes the way of Brisbane strikers. Much to the,
I think actually
in fact, it was a free kick.
Yeah, so.
We don't let these small technicalities bother us too much, do we, Jonty? No. Jonty Richter giving us expert analysis here, live from Perry Park. Thank you for watching wherever you are watching, on whatever method you are watching, either on YouTube or on your PlayStation 4 console. Thanks for joining us. There's still 4 minutes of this game remaining, and 4 minutes in which Brisbane strikers will be hoping to score 2 quick-fire goals, and we have seen it happen here. There's a period of time when strikers, I think, scored 7 goals after the 80th minute in the domestic competition here in Queensland. Owen Baker watching on. The strikers bench, concerned faces as it stands, but all it takes is one mistake and perhaps Luke Marsh can latch onto the end of this. It's Doherty who's full of running and chasing hard, but unable to get enough on that. And Heidelberg are able to take the ball away, and that's nice from Sam Knight, putting his body on the line.
Yeah, poor touch there from Hall again. So I think he's just maybe a little bit of frustration at himself, actually. Some of these challenges going in, but yeah, he doesn't want to give away too many silly free kicks.
Certainly doesn't want to put a dampener on what has been a very impressive night for Heidelberg and a very impressive season. This is better from strikers though. Amori on that left-hand side. He's going to bring all his bag of tricks out. Finds Marsh on the edge of the area. Tried to get it back, did Amori. Still there perhaps for strikers. And Knight.
We'll call that a
very disappointing.
Tired cross there from Semi Knight, probably sucking in the big ones, but yeah, just no way through for the strikers at the moment. And Heidelberg, I think, going to see this one out comfortably at this stage with, I don't know if it's tired legs or the side of the end of the season for the strikers, but yeah, just no one willing to sort of do that extra little mile to maybe give themselves an opportunity.
Well, Heidelberg will be the first team from Victoria to win the PlayStation 4 National Premier Leagues overall, the national title. It's been a monopoly almost of South Australia and New South Wales. Michael Trigger chasing hard though into the edge of the penalty area, just looking to maintain possession at the moment, and he does that very well. using Katanos, who takes a bit of pace off and then suddenly injects it, getting to that byline. Once again, stops, uses his fellow substitute, Trigger. Trigger brushes off one striker's player and still has possession, does Trigger. Taking it into the corner flag. It's a pet hate of mine personally, but he's doing it very, very well. If you're going to do it, you may as well do it right. And it is a throw-in to strikers. I think that is the right decision, but you wouldn't have thought so based on the reaction of Andrew Katanos. Furious with the referee, Adrian Arndt, who has had a pretty good game, I think. Nice flick from Lee to find McLean. And is this an opportunity perhaps for strikers? A sensible professional foul by Josh Wilkins, who is going to be shown a yellow card for his troubles. He's more than willing to cop that, I'd imagine, at these latter stages. Just 30 seconds of normal time remaining. Michael Lee trying to inject a bit of pace, as is Jake McLean. So saying it's gonna cap off a very, very impressive season from Heidelberg. About to see how much time the officiating team have added on. Lara Lee, 3 minutes, which is, I think, the standard in these situations, isn't it, Jonty? Hasn't been all that many events to take time off the clock in this second half. Okay. Unable to thread that ball through towards Hiroki Amori, but still battling our strikers, led by their captain, Michael Angus. Free kick is given, though. And a couple of boos ringing out around Perry Park as we go into added time. There's a bit of an exchange going on down to our left between a couple of the supporters. Slightly sloppy there from Ruben Way, almost caught in possession by Marsh, but did well. Going Heidelberg, just seeing out time now with Hall, and still with Hall. That's nice, and it's going to be threaded through towards the substitute Pace. He flashes that one across the face of goal, and that would have been the cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah, exactly. Would have been nice for the old fella. I say old fella, but he's my age anyway, to get one there. But yeah, I think Heidelberg know that they're the champions now, and just waiting for this final whistle.
34 years young.
Exactly.
He's young Stephen Pace. And we're going to see a yellow card for Andrew Katanos for what can only be described as petulance. Yeah, free kick hit him again.
Katanos, I think he doesn't mind pushing the old envelope, the young fella. We've all been there, you know, probably a bit smart for our own good, but yeah, he's happy to cop the yellow there.
Can strikers add a bit of gloss to proceedings in a game where they haven't been overawed? In fact, in the first half was very competitive.
Certainly gave good account of themselves, but I think just all in all, just outclassed slightly by a stronger Heidelberg side who, yeah, as we said, have done really well in the Victorian NPL, and looks like they're going to be national champions here.
George Katsakis is leading the celebrations already on the Heidelberg bench. He's been shaking hands and getting ready to preparing himself for perhaps a Gatorade shower. I think that's on the cards. And it's a way to see off a fine season. NPL Victoria premiers, Doherty Cup champions, Westfield FFA Cup quarter-finalists. It's been a fantastic season. It's Hensley, with the assistance of Angus, clears. And it's nice control by McLean. But any goal here will just be consolation for the hosts. 2 balls on the field. Referee allowing play to go. It's there for Lee. Marsh. Lee still there. It's there for McLean. McLean goes down.
Oh, the referee.
Jonty Rector unhappy with that last call. It wouldn't have made a difference.
Shocking call by the referee, but who cares? Heidelberg are the champions. 2-0. Great victory for themselves. yeah, I'm sure they'll be stoked. FFA Cup for next year booked and sealed already. So, yeah, well done to Heidelberg. Great season, and I'm sure they'll be celebrating tonight. Hopefully their flight home's not too early tomorrow.
Well, that's a fitting reward for what has been an absolutely phenomenal season from Heidelberg United. They're the first team from the Football Federation Victoria to win the PlayStation 4 National Premier Leagues. It was the first time either of these two federations, Football Queensland or the FFV, were able to claim finalists. But that's a very, very impressive win. We'll have a presentation, of course, for John Cosmina medal. John Cosmina, the coach of Brisbane City, just down the road in Newmarket here in Brisbane. He is amongst the committee to be announcing who will have won the best on ground. Jonty, who caught your eye?
Oh, to be honest, and I know it's probably not going to be anywhere near the winner, but young Jordan Wilkes, I think, had an excellent game. You know, it's weird to say that for a centre-back in a team that's won 2-0. You know, you're probably picking a goal scorer where someone like Jack Petrie or Sean Ellis is probably going to win it, I'd say. But, yeah, Jordan Wilkes really impressed me with his game today, and he's one of those, yeah, like we said, quiet achievers. But, yeah, I'm sure there's a few names in the Heidelberg side that can certainly be worthy winners of the John Cosmina medal.
I think Sean Ellis would get my votes. I think he was very impressive today, and he managed to cap off a fine performance with a goal. He not only managed to set a few up, but he also managed to stop a couple of promising strikers' attacks as well. So he, for me, was probably best on ground. But I get your point about Jordan Wilkes. He was very impressive at centre-back, as was Josh Wilkins. They managed to do quite a lot of good work at the back in what was a very even first half. If you have just joined us, it was just right at the end of that first half, the 41st minute, where Adrian Zara, opened the scoring. The 27-year-old former Melbourne Heart and Perth Glory man managed to latch on to a loose ball after the quite impressive Alex Schiavo clattered into Zach Speedy after a through ball. It was a touch of offside perhaps in the call, but it was a well pulled trigger if it wasn't. He was able to latch onto that through ball. Speedy did well to latch out, and unfortunately for strikers, it fell right into the path of Zara, and it was a very composed finish, curling it into the top corner from outside the area. And unfortunately, that really took the wind out of the strikers' sails, Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, great work by Heidelberg. Excellent finish by Zara and also Ellis. And yeah, on the balance of the whole match, they're probably deserving winners and of their whole season. They've done very well, so deserved winners of the NPL final series. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of disappointed boys in the strikers side and probably didn't play quite to their potential. But as we said, against a very tough, experienced side, and a lot of their boys quite young as well. They'll take a lot from this, the strikers, and I'm sure they'll go around next year again and be there and thereabouts. But yeah, Heidelberg strength to strength, I suppose, and always a strong side in their series, their season. So I'm sure they'll celebrate tonight, as we said, as they get the trophy. And yeah, they'll carry on again next season.
And that all-important Westfield FFA Cup round of 32 spot, of course, as the Heidelberg players go over to the far side and celebrate with their supporters, who have come up in fairly impressive numbers, just as the South Melbourne fans did for the Westfield FFA Cup game against Gold Coast City. So it's good to see the health of football going pretty well, despite what was a relatively disappointing crowd of 1,105 here at Parry Park, with the contributing factors of River Fire being on at the same time. I guess it's impressive to see that number of supporters coming up from Victoria.
It's great to see, and I suppose that's the beauty of FFA Cups and these final series, is clubs that normally, you know, just got to travel an hour down the road, get to travel interstate to watch their teams play. And yeah, Strikers probably struggle in general for their crowd numbers, unfortunately. But yeah, great to see the Heidelberg supporters here, and yeah, at least their players have got someone to present the trophy to. But yeah, really good support, and yeah, I'm sure a few sore and sorry boys in both sides tonight and tomorrow. But yeah, as they head over to receive the trophy, I'm sure they are going to be happy.
Well, it was a very competitive game. regardless, especially in that first half. Strikers had their opportunities. Michael Lee had a couple of good opportunities, one which sort of skidded under the defender's foot. I think it was Josh Wilkins who sort of let it go past and just bobble out for a corner, and then he had that long-range pile driver, but unfortunately for Strikers was unable to hit the target. But overall, a very good season for Strikers. They've got a change of coach. Owen Barker will perhaps be in the hot seat. It's his first defeat as Strikers coach, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see where Strikers go from here for next season in terms of their coach. Yeah, I suppose it's one of those things that maybe they've got someone in mind already, but I suppose if Owen takes over, he's more than capable, and he's done quite well for them in their youth setup, so I'm sure they have every confidence in him if that's the case.
We'll stick around for the presentation, which is just about to get underway, and we'll leave you in the capable hands of the MC when his microphone begins working. Until that point, you'd expect Strikers to be disappointed but pleased overall with their efforts this year.
Yeah, I think on reflection they'll be happy with it. But yeah, again another grand final defeat, which for whatever reason they just can't seem to get that over the line. I'm sure as this presentation takes place, they'll be quite disappointed. But I'm sure we'll, especially when the referees step up anyway, we'll hear the perennial boos, even though they had quite a good game themselves.
They weren't bad, were they, the referees? And of course the football continues with the Hyundai A-League kicking off next week. We'll leave you with the announcers if this microphone does work. Technical glitches. Technical glitches, the bane of any live event, I guess.
Anyway, what a fantastic match to conclude the PlayStation 4.
Still having a couple of problems over on that far side in front of the Bill Waddell stand.
Put your hands together for both the Brisbane Strikers and Heidelberg United. The official party that are doing the presentations tonight is Football Federation Australia General Manager of Operations and Competition. An Australian Hall of Fame inductee, John Cosmina. Give them a round of applause. And while we're applauding, before we begin the presentation ceremony, please acknowledge by round of applause PlayStation 4 as the naming rights sponsor. And also Mitre, the official ball partner of the PS4 NPL 2017 final series. To begin the presentation ceremony, today's match wouldn't have been possible without the support and dedication of our match officials. We invite the match officials from today's match to come forward and assist. Put your hands together for Adrian Arndt, assistant Johnny Lee and James Sherry. I'd now like to call upon Australian football legend John Cosmina to come forward.
He's closer to the base. He's closer to the base. He's too far away.
The winner of the tournament's medical award, the player of the grand final, is number 19, Ellis.
had. I'd now like to invite the 16 players and head coach of the Brisbane Strikers to come up and collect their medals. It's now time to turn our attention to the PlayStation 4 National Premier League's 2017 champions of Australia, Heidelberg United. Lewis Hall, Ruben Way, Adrian Zara, Jack Petrie, Ken Athieu, Luke Miles, Sean Ellis, Alex Giavo, Christian Pavlidis, Leslie Dumbalis, Andrew Cartonis, Stephen Pace, and Michael Trigger. And the coach, George Katsakis and Harry Moon. And Paul O'Brien. If I could have Luke Biles over to me to make some noise. Better stay somewhere close to there. What normally say? Thank you very much. All right. Two. Okay. Thanks everyone for coming today, and Football Federation, and obviously well done Brisbane Strikers. Probably see you out in about an hour or so. And great season from the boys, well done. Thank you. Thanks, Luke. Okay. Time to get the trophy. John, if you do the honour of presenting Heidelberg with the PlayStation 4 National Premier League Champion 2017 trophy.
Congratulations to Heidelberg United. Thank you to John Cosmina for presenting Heidelberg worthy winners tonight. John T, thank you very much for joining me as we see the Victorians celebrate the first Victorian team to win the PlayStation 4 National Premier League's Grand Final, and it was a good performance.
Yeah, excellent work by Heidelberg. Certainly, over the course of this final series, have shown their strength, and congratulations to them. And I'm sure they'll enjoy themselves tonight. But yeah, thank you very much for having me again, Simon.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for watching this live stream of the PlayStation 4 National Premier League's 2017 Grand Finals, where Heidelberg United become the first team to win the title from the Football Federation Victoria. Thanks so much to the team from Sportscast for their excellent production today. Thank you once again for watching. John T. Richter, it's been a pleasure. I'm Dean Simon Smale, and commiserations to Brisbane Strikers. Congratulations to Heidelberg United. Enjoy the Hyundai A League. See you next year for the 2018 PlayStation 4 National Premier League season.
Australia lead magnificently. 10-point cross again from the corner. And Juric! This is your stage.